It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh yes, Mzansi, welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, opening up to a beautiful Friday right here on S3. And I think, especially when you think about this country, we've got beauty, we've got rich diversity and diverse influences at that. And I think we naturally blend styles, textures and ideas to create something uniquely our own. And that's what it's about. Man.
Yeah, we got our own DNA for sure. And the 2025 Plascon Color Forecast embraces the spirit of hybridity. Yes, it is a word. And this week we are diving into materiality, exploring how textures, how surfaces and those finishes, the nuances, interact with color to bring depth and dimension into your home design.
When talking about the Plascon Color Forecast, we're not just speaking about the colors of paint. We're also talking about interior design, the objects in the room, and materials in the space. I'm now joined by the editor-in-chief of House and Leisure magazine, Charles Edwards. Charles, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's always so lovely to touch base with you, and today we're discussing color and materiality. So what are some of the trends that we can expect?
So I think definitely internationally and locally, what we can expect to see, a lot of mixing of colors and styles, definitely eclectic. More people are kind of playing with color, playing with their spaces and interior styles. It's just people being quite brave with mixing styles and being bold.
Now, Chris, when it comes to color and texture, it's not just about the paint and the color choice, but it's also about the surface in which it lies on.
Completely. So color is so much about light, right? And texture, what we call materiality, will impact the way the light hits the surface. So when you're looking at paint, it's not just the wall you're putting it on, but actually what you're painting and how glossy it is, how matte it is. These things all impact color choice ultimately.
And quite practically for the layman at home who's trying to understand and unpack materiality, what is it?
Basically, materiality means just a mixture of materials. So literally the rug on the floor, the wooden floor, just a mix of materials, but looking at the materials of each item and design.
Now, I keep hearing the term biophilia being repeated. What does that mean? What does that entail?
Yeah, so biophilia is a concept that's been around for a while now, but it's gaining much more mainstream understanding. And it literally just means the love of nature, but incorporating nature within sort of man-made spaces.
For the average person at home, you know, it can be quite intimidating looking at materials, whether it's matching or mismatching them. So how can we incorporate these ideas in our own spaces?
I would suggest always starting with the structure of your house. Listen to the house, listen to the color palette. Obviously, using color and Plascon colors on the walls will help you, but I think it's also looking at what sofa do you have, what rug do you have, do they work together? And maybe if you're feeling a little bit shy or insecure, just kind of experiment with small pieces like an artwork or a vase.
Our Intimate Madikwe Game Reserve with top interior designer Myra Kutsudakis for more insight. We are in the heart of Madikwe, and I mean, this is the bush essentially. So why is it such a picturesque and perfect place to discuss interiors, paints and textures?
Because Palesa, inspiration is everywhere. What can be more inspiring than the clay that speaks to wall textures and mottled finishes, rough textures underfoot, the grasses that talk to like beautiful fabrics that have got an interesting warp and weft, the trees, the timber, the organic nature of all these materials. They inspire our work, but obviously, to shake it up, we would combine it with something metallic, something glossy, something shiny, and therein is the contrast of hybridity.
We have been outside, we have been speaking about this concept of materiality and textures, and you've now led me to this beautiful home. How can we see what we've been speaking about outside translate quite literally into this interior, even though you didn't design it?
I find that the outside influences the inside. Exteriors are interpreted in the interior space in the nicest possible way. You see materiality working in this space. It's all kind of that interesting hybrid play of rough and smooth, raw, refined, glossy, and gorgeously coarse and textural. The wall textures here in this gorgeous ochre, almost like an elephanty olive grey-green, are such a good representation of what we saw outside, but then layered on top with baskets, with high gloss heritage pictures. So it all kind of has that play that we call that hybridity.
The space feels modern, but also it's quite nostalgic in its African roots. And I love the fact that we've been able to quite literally see the perfect example within the last word. Ngiyabonga, ma.
Thank you, darling.
I couldn't think of a better place than the bush to see and feel the ideas of texture and materiality.
Step into a world where color meets possibility with Plascon's 2025 Hybridity Color Forecast. Spend 500 Rand or more on any Plascon products and stand to win a state-of-the-art Toyota Corolla Cross 1.8 XS Hybrid worth 500,000 Rand. Simply WhatsApp your receipt, name and ID to this number. T's and C's apply. Plascon, together we've got this.